Welcome, everybody, to another edition of IIBA's podcast series. My name is Amy Riddell, and today's topic is, what does it take to be a BA? And I'm very happy to have today as our guest, Adrienne Reed. Adrian is a true advocate of the analysis profession. In his day job, he acts as principal consultant and director at Blackmetric Business Solutions, where he provides business analysis consultancy and training solutions to a range of clients in varying industries. He is the past president of the UK chapter of the IIBA, and he speaks internationally on topics relating to business analysis and business change. Adrian wrote the 2016 book, Be a Great Problem Solver Now, and the 2018 book, Business Analyst. Welcome, Adrian.
Hey, thanks. Great to be here, Amy.
Okay, so let's get going. We've got lots of questions to cover today. I'm really excited to get things rolling. First off, Adrian, tell us why business analysis is such an interesting and exciting profession for people to be in right now.
Wow, great question. And a big question. It's like, where do I begin? So I think firstly, I think the thing that I've always really liked about business analysis is the variety. Because the thing about business analysis, when you boil it down, is it really is about the analysis of the business or an organization or a problem situation or whatever. And as BAs, we get to take that holistic view of a problem situation, so we can think broad and wide, up in the strategic element as well as in the detail. And what this means practically is that business analysis spans everything from the upfront strategic pre-project problem analysis, right through to defining high-level requirements, through to defining detailed requirements and acceptance criteria, right through to potentially post-project helping the organization work out whether they've realized the benefit or not. And that might be in a traditional waterfall way, it might be in an incremental way, an iterative way, an agile way, or whatever. Whatever there is, whatever the approach, there's a need for analysis. And what I found in my career is that means there's a huge amount of variety. So no two projects are the same, no 2 days are the same, and there's so much to learn along the way, new techniques, new ideas. I suppose, secondly, it's about people as well. And I think in some organizations it's easy to look at change in a really clinical way. And what some projects do is they look at change in a little bit of a clinical way. So, I mean, to give you an example, it's really easy in Visio or your tool of choice to merge 2 swim lanes together on a swim lane diagram. But as an analyst, we might look at that and say, well, yeah, that's easy to do on paper, but that has a huge impact on the organizational structure or the roles or the people. And so we're able to work with people to understand the impacts of change and to make sure that we co-create a change which will actually work and actually stick. And I think, I mean, to add a third thing on, to tack a third thing on, I guess I'd say that the analysis it's part of the glue, really, that binds a project together and ensures that when we're doing change, we're actually making things better. We get better outcomes. And for me personally, that's not just about better profits for shareholders. I mean, that's important if you're in a private company, but actually, what excites me more is, I can work on a project where we're providing a better service to customers, or a better experience for internal users, or if it's a public sector project, it could be even BAs working on creating a better service for some sort of consumer out in the community. So, at risk of sounding really philosophical now, it's almost like BAs work with others to make to almost like make things better one project at a time. I can't believe I've just said that, Amy.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If someone is looking to make a career change or start out their career, how will they know that business analysis is the right choice for them?
Yeah, I think that varies. And I think there's a certain mindset. I don't think, I think you can develop it. I don't think you're necessarily born with it. I think that you need to be comfortable working in a changeable and ambiguous environment, because things do change around projects. I think you've got to like working with people. And I mean, I said in opening that one of the reasons for me it's a really exciting role is there's variety. Well, clearly you've got to be okay with variety. You've got to be okay not knowing what you'll be doing next week or next month or next year. I mean, interpersonal skills, working with people, they're really, really key. But I think actually, on thinking about that, one perhaps myth is, I think there's perhaps a myth that to have good interpersonal skills, you've got to be an extrovert. And and I don't think you do, because believe it or not, and I'm actually quite introverted. Now, if you've ever met me at a conference, you might not believe that, but I have to balance my energy levels really, really carefully, because I like being with people. You know, I'm not shy, but I need to recharge and I need alone time and that kind of thing. So you can absolutely be an introvert and be a good BA. And I think probably most importantly, if you're the sort of person who questions everything, if you get frustrated when you see a bad process, we all find it. You ring up a company when you're a customer, and you go through their process and you think, I could improve that process. If you're having those kind of thoughts, then you're probably a BA already. Like, you've probably already got that BA mindset. So it's about that BA mindset and the transferable skills.
Okay. Is there a standardized career path for a BA professional? If there is, could you describe it for us?
That's a great question. I would love to be able to say yes to this, but sadly, well, at least as far as I know, the answer is no, not really. You mentioned in my intro that I wrote a book about the BA career path called Business Analyst, and I interviewed a whole bunch of BAs when I was writing that book to find out some of the career paths, and there were many, and two which will probably always stick with me because I was so surprised was I was interviewing a very senior head of practice, and I just asked her out of interest, well, what did you study at university? What did you study at college? And she has a master's degree in astrophysics. and it's like from astrophysics to business analysis. And the other one that always really sticks with me is a business analyst who moved from being a paramedic to being a business analyst.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was talking to him and saying, well, that seems really random, but he said actually that there are transferable skills, believe it or not, because he was saying when you're a paramedic, you arrive at a situation where change is urgently needed, where a patient is feeling pain. You need to quickly assess that situation, and also half the time the patient will be asking for something that they don't really need, right? They might be asking for pain relief, but actually pain relief isn't the most effective treatment. So you've got to work out the best way of getting them to a healthier situation and getting them to hospital. And he was saying that actually when you step far enough away, business analysis, you've got a business that's often in pain, that's asking for something, a new system or whatever, that they might not really need and might not be the most effective solution. So he was able to get into that role, and he made the transition by going into a business analysis in a healthcare setting. So he had domain knowledge in there. But I thought that was a fantastic transition to make. I think the classic answer to the question is probably that BAs tend to come from either technology or from the business, but I think more and more these days they come from all over the place, and even now I'm hearing of folks who go straight from college or university to a BA role. In fact, one thing I think's really cool here in the UK is there's an apprenticeship scheme. There's a business analysis, a government recognized business analysis apprenticeship scheme, so people can come.
Oh, really?
Yeah, straight from college and university. An employer sponsors them to train to be a BA. So, but what I did find, and what I do see with the clients I work with, is once you're in that role, certainly in the UK, there's a fairly fairly standardish path. So you tend to see sort of different levels. So there's, like a junior or entry level business analyst, there's business analyst. Then typically organizations have like either senior or lead or principal business analyst. There's then maybe business analysis manager and head of business analysis. So there tends to be a hierarchy within organizations. But then after people sometimes take a step out of business analysis, and then they can go anywhere. Like, it's fascinating to find where people go after business analysis too.
Yeah. So we touched on this a little bit earlier. Maybe we can drill down a bit. But based on your experience, what are the skills and competencies that are necessary to successfully start and build your BA career?
Yeah, I mean, the instinctive thing to say here is analysis, people skills, and those things are important. But what I'd add actually is curiosity. You kind of have to be constantly asking why, and interestingly, I think there comes a point in every BA's career where you can't switch that off anymore, and you ask it everywhere and annoy everyone you're with consistently, because you're kind of wanting to improve. Like, I go to coffee shops and I want to improve their processes, and it drives everyone around me insane. So I think that natural curiosity, and sometimes I've heard it described as like childlike. So not childish, but childlike. That questioning everything is. But with rapport in an appropriate way. Confidence and resilience, because projects are hard, or even and it might be a BA in a non-project environment, it's still hard. And I suppose also adding on to that, the willingness to adapt and continuously learn, individually and as a team, because things change. Analysis changes, business changes. And we, as practitioners, we've got to be at the forefront of that. We change our organizations, but we've got to be prepared to change ourselves as well along with that.
Okay, very cool. Let me ask you this. What actions can a new professional take to build these skill sets?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because one thing that always fascinates me is that quite often people are doing business analysis without even knowing it. So
yeah.
like the paramedic example, and in retrospect, the paramedic said, well, he was doing elements, not the whole role, but he was doing elements of it without even thinking of it. So I recently, a contact of mine put me in touch with someone who was wanting to become a BA. And she was a careers advisor. She worked in recruitment. She was a careers advisor, and I had a call with her, and she explained to me what she did. And she said, I work with a candidate. I understand their strengths and weaknesses. I work out where they want to go and what the gap is between where they are at the moment and where they want to be. And I help them understand the employment environment around them, and I help them, come up with a path and steps to take to get to their destination. And when I was talking to her, I was thinking, yeah, substitute the word candidate with business or project, and you're kind of, you're doing a large element of business analysis there. So I think, I think that often people have more BA skills and experience than they realize. They won't have necessarily the whole breadth, but they may have some specifics. So for me, the number one thing is for folks to do almost like a mini skills inventory and work out what experience they already have, and accepting that you probably have more than you think, because you don't have to have the title BA to be doing business analysis. And having done that, then you can kind of figure out, well, what haven't I had exposure to? So maybe you've done some form of elicitation, but you've never done requirements analysis and prioritization. So you can find a way in your current role to get that exposure. And if there's no opportunity in your current role to do that, then maybe try volunteering for a local cause, a charity, or IIBA chapter, or whatever, and find a way to get that exposure. But I think the final thing I'd add on to that actually is it's definitely worth telling people, like letting people know this is the career that you're aiming for. Because one thing I've consistently found is the BA community, we're just a really friendly bunch. I mean, you know this, Amy, from the conferences that you organise. It's like, we're an
I can attest to this.
we're an energetic and friendly community, and
Yep.
people help each other. So I
Mm-hmm.
think connecting with the BA community and telling people you're making the transition, people will come. People will just contact you on social media out of the blue and help you, which is just an awesome thing.
Mm-hmm. No, and I see that all the time
Mm-hmm.
at the events and on the websites. Absolutely. You're 100% right. Let me ask you another question. What does it take to be an entry certificate in business analysis, and what benefits do you think this offers?
Yeah, so for anyone who isn't familiar, the Entry Certificate in Business Analysis, or ECBA, is a certificate issued by IIBA, the International Institute for Business Analysis, as I'm sure we all know. And so IIBA launched a competency-based certification program, and ECBA is the foundation level. So there are other levels which require experience, like the CCBA and CBAP, but the ECBA, you don't have to have been a BA to actually sit it. So an advantage to someone who is beginning their career is you can do it without having experience, and it's knowledge based. So it's a different level of learning than you'd expect a more experienced business analyst to have. So it's a great way to show to an employer that you've gained the knowledge, you've gained some industry knowledge, even if you haven't yet got the formal experience, or if you haven't got as much formal experience. So I mean, from a personal perspective, I think one of the key benefits is it shows intent. It sort of shows to a hiring manager that yes, I've chosen this career. The career I want involves business analysis, and I've invested in myself to get certified. And will it definitely mean that you get that dream BA job? Well, I'd like to say yes, but but
Yeah.
what is much more likely is we have certainly in the UK, I'm sure elsewhere as well, there's increasing competition for jobs. And if you imagine being a hiring manager and you've got 10 shortlisted candidates, you've got 10 resumes, 10 CVs on your desk for 10 shortlisted candidates, you want to work out which 4 or 5 or however many you're going to interview, and they're all equal, and 2 have got ECBAs. I'm pretty sure that ECBA might well be the thing which shows that manager, this person's serious about this career, you're probably going to have more chance of getting the interview. So I think one of the things ECBA does, in my opinion, is it differentiates and might get you the foot in the door. Now, once you've got the foot in the door, you've got the opportunity to really sell your enthusiasm and passion and that kind of thing. So I think it can be a door opener.
Awesome. If I just want to let everybody know that if they're interested in finding out more about the ECBA, if you go to the IIBA's website, www.iiba.org, and click on the certification tab at the top, it'll take you to more information about that. If you want to go check that out.
Fantastic.
Okay, Adrian, what trends are you seeing, and what do you think a practitioner can expect in the future in terms of career path in business analysis?
Wow, it's the predicting the future question.
That's right.
Well,
get a crystal ball.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I think we tend to see waves of change, and I think I mean something I said earlier is we need to be able to adapt as practitioners, and I think that's true more and more today than it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. And I guess those waves of change happen in the world generally, and I mean, it's not really safe to talk about politics as a British European right now, but, but fair to say that things I never predicted would happen are happening in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
putting my feelings about those to one side, they have a huge impact on every organization in the UK, and in Europe, and there are, and I mean, I know I'm speaking from a UK centric perspective, but there are things happening all around the world for various political and other reasons, which are having an impact on the way organizations operate, whether they're private sector, public sector, charity, or whatever. And the pace of change just seems to be getting faster. Like I don't, I can't imagine turning on the TV and seeing someone saying, "Oh, the pace of change is getting slower this year. We can all just relax and just coast through to the end of the financial year." That's just not going to happen. So I see that if business environments are changing, then there's going to be more and more need for change. That's going to mean more and more business analysis is going to need to be done. Now, it doesn't have to be done by people with the title BA, but it needs to be done with people who know how to do that business analysis, probably in more of a, in more of a model where it's about experimentation, learning, getting something out there quick. But one of the things that I think bring, and I think a trend we'll see, is because there's this fast-paced change, the danger is different parts of the organization can end up taking lots of mini knee-jerk reactions and
Mm-hmm.
can end up implementing things or changing things in a way that makes sense to, like the, I don't know, in an insurance company, the underwriting team do something, and then the actuaries do something, and then the sales and servicing and policy admin. But if no one's looking at that bigger holistic level of how all those things join together, you end up with sort of local optimization that makes the whole organization actually worse. You kind of move the problem around. So I think that looking at things more systemically, to think in systems and help people see the bigger picture, I think that will become more and more of a trend, because it fits so well with some of the agile philosophies of getting change out there fast, of understanding needs, of testing and learning, but learning as an organization rather than just a tiny fraction of that organization. And I think alongside that, one thing I'm continually learning actually is how much we need to be prepared to unlearn and relearn as practitioners, because I've certainly been guilty in the past of having favorite techniques, and it's like, well, I always start with this, but actually we have to be guided by the context, because sometimes things are so different and or so urgent or whatever that we need to try a different way. So having that ability to flex, I think, will be more and more valued by our organizations as time goes on.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have time for one last question. And I am going to ask you this. What advice do you have for an individual who's interested in pursuing a career in business analysis?
Wow. Absolutely go for it would be the first thing. I mean, I have enjoyed, they're always hard projects, but I love this. I love my job. I know that's a really sad thing, unusual thing to say, but I genuinely enjoy analysis. I think if you're the sort of person that has the mindset, like when I first sort of got my first proper BA role, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, because it's like, wow, I'm in a role I actually fit in. But people appreciate me asking why all the time, rather than being in different roles where people think you're trying to be a pain or think you're trying to question authority type of thing. So I think absolutely, if it's your mindset, go for it. Meet others who are already doing it. Like networking. I know networking is a scary word for many of us, but you know what? If you meet others when an opportunity comes around that's right for you, they'll give you a call and they'll say, hey, look, apply for this. You might just get it. Definitely keep learning. We all learn. However senior someone is, I think we're all learning all of the time. Never stop, I don't think. And along the lines of meeting others, one of the major things that happened in my career was I went to, in 2008, 2009, it was the first BA Conference Europe, which was, well, it was arranged by a consortium of folks, including the IIBA UK chapter. And off the back of that, I got involved with IIBA, and I later became a volunteer, and then a chapter board member, and then president, which sucked up a load of time, but was really, really good fun and great development. But one thing I would wholeheartedly recommend is get involved with your local IIBA chapter. It will present opportunities that you just can't even predict. You'll meet people who will help you with things, and if you get involved as a volunteer, that the leadership skills you gain from that are just really, really invaluable. And as weird as it sounds, I'd say kind of have fun, because although projects are hard, maybe it's a British thing, but in times of adversity, we just laugh, right? We just laugh in times of adversity, and you kind of got to do that. And it's really fun. You make really good friends on these projects, and I'm still in touch with people that from organisations I left like a long time ago, and we still exchange stories and stuff and go out for drinks. So yeah, and I'd say go for it, and just commit to it and go for it would be my advice.
Awesome. You had talked on getting involved with your local chapters. So if anyone's out there is interested in doing that, once again, if you go to the IIBA website, click on membership, there's a tab there that you can hit that'll show you all the chapters across internationally, actually. So do that. Adrian, thank you so much. This was so much fun. It was fantastic speaking with you, and thank you so much for sharing your insight with us.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure, Amy.
Now, you talked about the importance of networking and meeting others. If anyone who's listening wants to connect with you, how do they do that? Yeah,
so I have a blog at www.adriennereed.co.uk. Do you know what? I looked recently, there's like 270 articles on there, which is insane. But you can go through all of them if you want, or just like recent ones. And if you like that, do hit the subscribe button. I blog about once every 2 or 3 weeks. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. If you just drop me a note on LinkedIn, I'm very happy to connect with you. And I'm on Twitter at UK Adrienne Reed. So very, very happy for people to connect with me. Love to stay in touch.
Wonderful. Okay, well, on behalf of all of us, thank you once again, and thank you everyone out there for listening. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.